OJE, and welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show, representing the Earth Centre, which is a multifaceted, not-for-profit organisation promoting and preserving chem culture. Okay, let me introduce the EC UK. The EC stands for the Earth Centre, and my name is One Love. I'm going to hand you over to my co-host, who's going to give you a short summary of the macaroon and Naba irrita.
Ujjayi, everyone. Ujjayi. Basically, the Herb Centre was first established by Prophet Nebnaba Lumusa Moran Denebig, and he was a Dogon high priest from the village in Burkina Faso, belonging to a lineage of healers, tracing their history back to the Nile Valley civilization. Well, in 1995, Prophet Nebnaba embarks on an unprecedented journey across the globe after receiving the blessing and support of the Kolma royalties, the dignitaries of the traditional temples, and the grand divinities of Kemet. Now, Nebnaba's mission was to bring knowledge of the existing Kemetic temples to the general public for the benefit of all humanity. Now, Nebnaba opened the first school, the first Earth Center school in 1995 in Chicago, Illinois, where he began to take people through the initiatic process. The Earth Center began to grow as the demand for authentic spiritual knowledge increased, and there are currently 9 Earth Center schools across the globe. We have 6 in the USA, 2 in the UK, and 1 in Canada. The Earth Center basically comprises of 4 different branches. The Earth Center comprises of 4 different branches. The first is the M-Tam School of Kemetic Philosophy and Spirituality, where 3 subjects are taught. The first subject really is Medu Mait, humanity's original language. The second is Katibi, that does meditation and yoga. And the third is Sunt, traditional healing. The next branch basically covers the Firefly production, the publishing house of the Herb Center, disseminating traditional Kemetic knowledge. We'll talk later on about more of the literature from that side there. The third section basically is Ancaster natural healing, provided by the priests, healers who are devoted to preserving traditional medicine, spiritual knowledge. There's also the project in Merita, which is ensuring that we have a solution to Africa's problem. This applied by, which is applied by ourselves, is basically about installing kind of clean water wells, going back to traditional farming techniques, and preserving like the well-being of what our ancestors had in the beginning, and trying to rekindle that back to maintain our own self-efficiency. We'll give you a little bit more on each of those kind of areas as to what the EC actually offers, really, and we'll give you like some contact details of how you can reach us at the Earth Center, and basically you can contact us on the Earth Center, spelled CENTER. The number is 0207 175 4144. Our email address is mtamuk@theearthcenter.com. On Facebook, it's the Earth Center UK, and on Twitter is Kepta UK, and on Instagram it's the Earth Center of UK, and on the www site is the earthcenter.org. We usually have like a proverb which we like to give out, and the proverb for this week is this: a knowledge is not a knowledge if you don't apply it to your life. That's why knowledge is what transforms people. And this is given by Nebnaba Lumusa Morandenibig. Yeah, we'd just like to play you a short interlude of music. And
munasangwa sunyandolo yusudu di makasawa na mleva wasu o sol makosalada. Yo.
Mama go,
Ujjayi, Ujjayi, welcome back everyone. This is the Wisdom of the Nile show, and we're in segment 2. And this section really is wisdom of our ancestors. And we have a fellow initiate who will be reading an article from the Rising Firefly magazine. And I'll hand it over to our initiate who's going to read this article to you. She can introduce herself to you.
Ujjayi. My name is Shadia, and as stated, I shall be reading a piece from the Rising Firefly magazine, volume 73, The Ancestral Spirit and the Importance of Name, by Naba Irita Shenmaira. The modern view of existence and life in general is scary and hopeless when many of its ideologies and the projections of the future defined by the Indo-European culture seem to be promoting the human evolution, while the many components this process clearly reveals worrisome signs, proving that humans have become instruments of destruction of the planet and lifestyle that we inherited from the first and original tenants of this place we call Earth. From the time when the destiny of humanity unfortunately fell in the hands of the uncultured and uncivilized groups of people dwelling from the other side of the Mediterranean Sea, the sacred in humans' existence suddenly got covered with disdain, and humans reduced to animals and wild without intelligence and principles. The ultimate ambition of these small groups of people who traveled from Europe was nothing better than managing to overthrow the pharaoh and to be on top of the world. This led to the destruction and looting of the pharaonic temples and the original mystery schools of the mother civilization. The spiritual, cultural, and universal principles were hijacked, and soon after all these, the barbaric acts on people from the lands that are nowadays tagged as undeveloped or savage became lawful and rewarding. The new ideas of a propaganda for the march towards a better future for all of mankind have then been drafted, where the exploitation and expropriation, the denial and demonization of the original civilizations and cultures have also become the new way of life. The divine-made world has been subjected to the man-made world. And this is how the Western leaders, philosophers, and thinkers established their version of civilization. A civilization of nonsenses and profanities. The civilization that moves forward and feeds on the animosity and ignorance of the individual. Objectively, let's admit that there is nothing new or good that the European plagiarists can claim to have contributed to the man of today's existence. They have simply and genuinely overcome, convincing people like you and me that reality as we live it every day is just an illusion, and that our brains and process of thinking is too short and slow to question the future and hopes that they sell to us. After looting the traditional societies and realizing that human spirit is too big to control, keeping that spirit in the vegetative state happened to be the last attempt that ended up working in the favor of those spiritual and intellectual gangsters of Europe. In the last article of this column, we tried getting the human mind to refocus on the concept of dualism and its indivisibility. The adepts of the European beliefs have always thought that the human essence is dualistic, in brackets, spirit-body, where the concept of an individual projects possibility of the spirit and body being able to exist separately. It is until the late 1800s that the fathers of the modern world finally started waking up to the reality that when a human dies, the spirit continues its journey and only the body gets affected by time. This is why the so-called advanced technologies and science of the modern societies have not yet been able to solve the mysteries around the diseases infesting their people. Because they have not yet come to the realization that spirit and body cannot be separated and dealt exclusively, and not only that, they so tagged masters, PhDs, and researchers in the Western civilization must get out of their pride and ignorance so they can relearn old ways. A popular expression in our tradition says, "The old pots cook the best and healthy foods." How can a human move forward in life and existence without the knowledge or perception of him or her being a three-part entity: spirit, body, soul? This may be one of the reasons that led the Oriental gurus, thinkers, and philosophers to conclude that human is a three-part entity, composed of a spirit, a body, and a soul. Even then, we can understand that the arrogance of the Oriental temples and their denial of the authority of the pharaohs seem to be the root of their misconception of human essence in existence. At this point, it is easily perceptible, even with a naked eye, that the culture has been shouting out loud to be more evolved and more powerful, and is only based on a narrow mind that wants to lead the whole humanity with ideologies and logics that are too small to challenge even a fish brain. Is the name an important part of our passage, an initiation on earth? Can it be separated from the spirit or the soul or the body? If not, why everything that exists that we perceive or not has a name? Again, this is where any thinking will start questioning where their names are coming from and what their meanings are. Do our names affect our destinies in everyday life? Well, our civilization and culture in the valley of Nile and Julibi for thousands of years have studied human life in existence and archived their discoveries in the temples and schools of mysteries. According to those archives, there is no being in existence that is not a quadruped, that include then the body, soul, and spirit. Name. Can we, in all sincerity and with a spiritual and intellectual honesty, identify the kind of living thing that exists and that has no name? We must rather say that all that exists has a name. If I was to tell you a story about someone that you know, but I left out their name, how would you even know who I am talking about? This is practically how important the name is. Anyone is easily recognizable by that one aspect of them. The Kemetic traditions for thousands of years have archives of names defining the destiny humans carry. The power of the name and its value has long been immortalized since the beginning of existence. Even the kings, the pharaohs, the prophets did not just choose their names at random, or did not just put the letters to make their names sound pretty. Daniel, Jacqueline, Joseph, these examples of biblical names sound pretty. Mustafa, Abdul, Aziz, Musa. These are examples of Muslim names. Ask the average Joe or the parents who name their children these biblical Abrahamic names about the concepts or the meanings of the names they chose for their children, and one will be surprised to hear parents say, "We just chose from the Bible or the Quran. We don't know the meaning." If you are lucky, your parents will give you a meaning according to their understanding of that name you're carrying, which will still not translate the destiny you came to achieve. Your name, which is supposed to identify you in the face of the universe, was chosen with no intelligence, no reason, no wisdom, with your personality or destiny, the one thing which separates humans from the animal kingdom, is the name. This is so because humans are capable of reasoning on a conscious level. Also, the act of thinking requires a language. And to think, you have to have a language in which you're thinking, which animals don't have, through concepts, sounds, and vibrations. This is why the dog is called a dog, the lion a lion, an elephant, and so forth. To the man of modern societies, life and existence have certainly become cultureless and conceptless, to the point where the only part of us that's supposed to identify us from the rest in the face of the earth is being bastardized. The name is more than just sounds and letters. The Romans have the expression, nomen est omen. The name is destiny. To give a child a name is to give him or her the destiny. And a human with a meaningless name, or a name that translates a destiny different than the one he or she is trying to achieve, is one that is not living. He or she is just passing through life. This is to say that our names influence the course of our lives considerably.
Well, Jason, that was very well read. Yeah, we can see that as in the article there, really, that our name is very significant, and we could also see, like in today's society, right, where the names that we give our children and the behavior and the mindset and the mentality of them, we have to sometimes wonder why they're behaving that way, because a name is as I say, it connects us to our spirit. A name identifies the spirit, and it's important, really, right, that when we consider giving our children and naming ourselves, that there is some value and importance, really, some consideration as to the names that we do bestow on ourselves. And that's why, like in initiation, we find that we're first given a name by our parents, and then going through initiation, then you are given like your spiritual name, which connects you to the spirit world. And that name basically is got from the reading, from the earth readings. And so, like, there's a process that we go through, like in the EC, after we get initiated, we are given our spiritual name that actually connects us. The name gives us a sense of direction of who we were and who we are supposed to be in this time that we're in now. So we have to kind of be mindful of the names that we give our children out there, because, as I say, it's kind of, we see the mayhem, the kind of the behavior, the attitude of our children, and we wonder, like, why are they behaving that way? I mean, when we see some of the names that's given to them, you know, we can't blame them but being the way that they are. And so, coming through initiation, for me personally, it was like I didn't realize that I was going to be given a name, but going through the process and to be given my name, it gave me that sense of direction as to something that I was looking for before. And yeah, it's resonated with me, because when I was given my name personally, I couldn't see myself. So the first thing I did was to ask someone, does that name reflect me? And to my surprise, the answer was yeah. You know, they said, this is who you were. We can see, you know, that was you. But I didn't know that. And, like, you know, coming through initiation, as I say, and seeing these articles and the importance, the significance of it, you know, a name is something which is also our ancestors. They're the one that actually kind of say assist in identifying and giving us the name. So that when the process of finding our name is given, it's given with consent from our ancestors who were there before. So there is that process that we have to go through.
I must say, in my particular case, I've yet to graduate, but one of the most pleasing aspects of what I'm going through, and it's completely unexpected, is the fact that as a result of going through the initiation and graduating, then I'm given a name by the elders who read it by reading the energies of the earth. And that is a name which, like you say, connects you with who you are. I never once in my life thought that it was going to be possible to establish that connection with my ancestry in such a powerful and unique way. And from what I've come to learn, everybody that has graduated and been given a name has found that name is in harmony with who they are, such that it puts them on that road where they kind of get a better understanding as to what their path is. And another thing that comes out of this is the fact that your name is in harmony with your destiny, and your destiny is something which is already predetermined before you even come into existence in this dimension. And so there's quite a lot to understand about the sheer importance of something as simple as a name. My name is a typical English name, which, if you heard it, you would not be able to distinguish what my original heritage is. And the simple truth is, I've inherited. No, I don't say inherited. That's the wrong word. The truth of the matter is, my true name has been taken from me, and me, together with my predecessors, have been carrying the name of the man who owned the slaves from which my descendants were held, and that's the name I've been carrying. And I came across a saying by the Makaru, who, while he was here on Earth, he was in a bit of shock to find out that it's possible for us to change our name and to change it by deed poll, and yet here we were walking around in this state of almost mental immobility, where the thought of changing our name into something that more represented who we are didn't even dawn on us. And so this is more of an awakening, more so than anything else, and a connection to who we are, where we come from. And that, to me, is one of the most important things you can establish while you're here on this planet Earth.
And each name that we're given has a meaning as well. And we find that in the Kemetic culture, your name carries a meaning. It's not just a name that's given to you. It has a meaning.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when we look at what it means, we can actually see ourselves, because the process in finding that name it goes through a divination
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And that's how it's got to be given to us. And so there is a process. It's not just like us looking in a book and just picking out a name at random. As the Makaru was saying, is that even that is a start to our awakening of our consciousness, even in giving ourselves a name, even though we might not know the meaning of it, but it's the beginning of that consciousness, really, like, of knowing, as my fellow brother said, that it was imposed on us, the name that was given to us. We're in a system, really, right, that the name that's given to us, all it is a identification for the system, basically, as a commodity out there, whereas our name that's given to us in the Kemetic culture connects us back to the spiritual world, you know, to nature. And so there's a difference, really, in the way that a name is presented or what it represents with us, because the system owns us. And so we're like, the name is like a number within the system that we're in. You know?
There's a lot of truth to that, an enormous amount of truth to that. And I must say, this is a subject which is probably dear to quite a few people's hearts. And so it's just as well to share the number, so that if there's listeners out there who would like to call in and ask a question, let me just say the number is 079 444 313 66. To repeat, 079 444 31366.
Yeah, we just have another short article that we would like to read. Yeah, and it's also connecting us. It's connected to the importance of name, and this is coming from the philosophy podium, and yeah. So I hand you over to our next initiate, really, who'll just give you a brief. Go ahead. Yeah.
Ujjayi. I'm reading from the philosophy podium. A Dogon perspective from Nebnaba Lamusa Morendenibig. I'm reading the article Understanding Reincarnation, the Notion of Destiny. It is difficult and almost impossible to talk about individual destiny without also talking about other individuals who in one way or another have contributed to that individual's existence and birth. Despite the majesty and the powers that we attribute to the God we have chosen, we need to remain honest enough to recognize this. Our Creator God, the great God, the all-powerful God, this God with no equal, could not create a human being without contributions from other humans. In other words, the human who preceded the human's parent, grandparent, etc., has revealed himself, herself as a passage our great God is forced to choose if he wants to create life. This simple observation reveals the power of an ancestral spirit. To create a human being, our God found himself forced to negotiate with an ancestral human being. According to the teachings of the school of Umtam, besides the gods of the first trinities, there are no other gods that were born as gods. The law of Kepra, becoming, determines the path used by that everything that exists. The gods are not gods, they became gods. They all started as mortals, weak and corruptible. They advanced on the path of becoming, helped by the 77 commandments. They purified themselves and increased their power. They built their world and their values, which became for us the example and the perfect model that we want to copy. We see then that we came into being in order to imitate the perfect model. Let us develop the courage to recognize this, saying that the purpose of living is anything other than to defeat death through our capability to transcend the barriers that exist between what is physical and what is not. Or saying that the purpose, goal of our existence is to flatter the gods with our prayers and glorification, is simply saying that we do not know the human being, and that amounts to advancing through our emotions instead of through our capability to reason. When human beings arrived in the world, they were quickly commanded for assembly by the committee of gods. The gods asked one question: "You, human, tell us what you want." This question shocks our nature. Contrary to what we want to believe, the human brain does not invent. We cannot think of anything that does not exist, but we are masters at copying and imitating. The model of the gods then became, for us, the perfect model to reproduce. We told them that we wanted to be like them and to reproduce the world they had built. We recognize how fragile the life in us is. We recognize how easy it is to corrupt us. Life is truly like writing in the sand. It can be erased and rewritten. Death then comes Death then gives us a chance to restart our experience until we have completely become free of corruption, until we can become capable of living only by the 77 commandments in whatever situation our lives place us. The ancestral spirit plays a very important role in every cycle of our reincarnation. Contrary to what fatalistic doctrines and modern religions are preaching, the individual destiny inside every cycle of reincarnation is not written in stone. Destiny does not weigh on the individual like a curse against which he or she cannot do very much. According to the teachers of Umtam, every individual has two categories of destiny: prenatal destiny, named the Yen Miali, and conditional destiny, named Yen Kabili. The Yen Miali is called a prenatal destiny because it is decided by the 7th generation of the grandmothers on our father's side before our birth. In other words, our prenatal destiny is decided by the mother of the father 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 of our father. This ancestor decides what our life will be. She will base it on her own experience during her preceding reincarnation. This ancestor will place on our lifetime what she considers to be the best during her preceding reincarnation, but the becoming of existence continues after her death, affecting what society perceives as valuable or honorable. The Yen Kabili is called a conditional destiny because it leaves the individual free to negotiate a new destiny. The individual can change his or her destiny through the Yen Kabali by inciting his or her ancestors to block the manifestation of situations that he or she hates and allow the arrival of situations he or she wishes for. The relationship we sustain with our ancestors obeys a dialectical principle. Whenever a person from our family dies, that person becomes nothing other than a dead relative. The duty we have towards our dead relative is to first elevate them to the rank of an ancestor. As dead relatives, they can do nothing for us, and as long as they suffer from our ignorance and negligence, they make their destiny worse. Generally, one does not need much more than a sculptural meal to elevate a dead relative to the rank of an ancestor with whom we can continuously negotiate every aspect of our destiny. Our relationship with our ancestors is dialectical because, one fact, our ancestors will take care of us in our life on earth if we take care of them in the world of the dead. It is very important for the individual to understand the Yen Miali and the Yen Kabili. These concepts add another dimension to the usual dimensions within which we perceive our place in space and time. We need to understand that if our favorite God could not create us without passing through the channel of an ancestral spirit, it is because there is no communication channel between a human being and a God that does not go through the ancestor of the human being. Even the simple prayers we address to our God cannot arrive at their destination if they did not carry the stamp of approval of our ancestor. To deny or ignore the power of the ancestral spirit is to choose one's own destruction, is to refuse to exist.
Turamagan tre manden kele mansali. Indongli ye turamagan silema. Bonyani jigiya menyalkan. Alial jantona. Beni faciale. Ali sona jabate jere. Turamagan sile.
Welcome back, and let's say a great big duao, which is thank you in Medu for the initiate's reading of the Philosophy Podium. That is another publication that's available through the EC. And whilst we're on the subject of products, let me just give you a little bit more information on what exactly is available. Naba Lamusa Morindenibig is known throughout the world as an authority on Kemetic culture and spirituality. He leaves us with books such as the Philosophy Podium, Initiatic Tales of Edge Patar, the Rising Firefly magazines, the Sidereal Calendar, which is the Kemetic calendar, the Purification Book. We've got videos lectures which are available on DVDs, audio lectures on CDs, and we've got a publication which shows the divine ordinances, or the 77 commandments, together with the Mandala of Dendera, which shows the celestial bodies, and from the Kemetic point of view, which is the equivalent of the map of the sky. All these can be purchased via the Earth Centre on Sundays at the location in East London, and I'm going to read out the address now, and so if you care to take a note of it. And again, these are available on Sunday, and I'll give you the times. The address is 21 Sunnyside Road, Leighton, London, E10 7BB. To repeat, 21 Sunnyside Road, Leighton, London, E10 7BB. And a few more contact details includes the email address, which is M for mother, T for Tony, A for apple, M for mother, U for umbrella, K for kilo, which is mtamuk at the Earth Centre, centre spelt CENTER.com. Or if you access Facebook, it's going to be the Earth Centre UK. Twitter, the name is Kebtah UK, spelt KEBTAH UK. Instagram is at the Earth Centre of UK. And the website. If you go to the website, it's all the W's, theearthcentre.org. And there you have it. And just in case you haven't caught the telephone number, the number to contact the Earth Centre is 0207 175 4144. welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Short interlude. We've got a guest coming on the show in a matter of minutes. The caller's coming from out of Manu or the US. We're looking forward to that initiate coming and sharing his knowledge with the rest of the world. But before we get into that, just like to say that on Sunday at the EC venue in London, the time for anybody that wants to attend is between the hours of 10:30 right through to 4 o'clock. But please do try to arrive between the core times of 10 to 12. It's open to everybody to be able to come along and to sit in. As mentioned earlier, there are actual studies that take place on the day, and it is possible to sit in and be a part of those studies, although to continue means that you'd have to join in the next enrollment, the next orientation that takes place. Again, the number for anybody that wants to call into the radio station is 079 444 31366. I just want to give you a little taster of what's yet to come. On the show, the Wisdom of the Nile show next week, we're going to go into another startling, amazing information that's provided by the mystery schools of the Dogon, and that has got everything to do with something that affects us all, and that is the matter of time, and how it is that we perceive time, and where the time that we use on a daily basis originates from, and how it is that there is an understanding, a knowledge of time that goes back to the beginning of humanity, which when you reconnect with it, it puts you in a position where your day-to-day life and that of the people around you now becomes aligned with how nature has arranged things and how the universe moves in accordance with nature, so you move in balance with the most important aspect of our dimension. Now, as I said earlier, we've got a guest that's calling in from the US, from Manu, and that guest should be live with us right now. If I could hear from Maramzu, are you there? Are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Excellent. Yes, we can hear you very clearly. And welcome, 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 or in the words of the Kemetic Medu, Ujjayi.
Yes, Ujjayi, brother.
Yes. Could you please introduce yourself, explain your name, and please your role within the EC for the listeners to hear?
Yes, no problem. My name is Meramsu, my last name Wasakar, and I am an initiate here in Chicago in the United States. I've been an initiate of the Earth Center for close to 10 years, I think about 9 years at this point.
Sorry to interrupt, but could you speak up? Because although I can hear you, it's pretty faint, but if you could speak up, please.
Yes, I've been here in Chicago in initiation about 9 years, and I am currently calling in as the marketing director for the Ancosta branch of the Earth Center, or for the Ancosta part of the organization, the part of the organization that handles the herbs or herbal remedies, the collaboration with the healers in West Africa.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And I must admit, we were talking about the Ancaster products earlier, but what I wasn't able to do was really to give people a full insight into the range of goods and products that are available, and even the benefits of these products. And so, could you share a little bit of your knowledge that you've got with the audience, so that they can know more about Ancaster and the value of what it is that you market?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ancosta is refers to a network of healers, and so we have over 10,000 different traditional African healers that we work with, and they each have their own, whether it be family herbal remedies, or they have remedies and recipes for herbs that they have learned, in their own initiations in traditional Africa in the bush. And so we collaborate with them, and the herbs that they sell themselves, they produce themselves, we bring those to the United Kingdom. We bring them to Ma'anu as a way to give people an opportunity to be able to use these instead of going to pharmaceuticals, or many people would prefer to use something natural, something holistic, instead of something that they know they're going to take it and it's going to have a side effect. It's like if you take something for the liver and then there's a side effect that affects the heart, and now you're having heart problems, so now you have to take another pill for the heart, and then that second pill for the heart then brings about another side effect. So the herbal remedies that we work with, that we bring from West Africa, they don't have side effects like these, and they've been used for, really, literally hundreds and hundreds of generations. So the medicines come from a wide range of areas in West Africa. In Togo, there's a lot of healers that we work with, the country of Togo, the country of Burkina Faso, but we also have medicines that come from Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire.
Excellent, excellent. And could you give us a little insight? I'm familiar with something called Suli and Ninika, and even the names of these products have got translation. And I understand Ninika comes from Nini, which is welcome and Kada spirit. And so taking this, the body actually welcomes the benefits of it. But if you've got any insight into the names of the products and how the benefits of the products, that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting with Ninika, yes, like you said, it does have that name, and so even in taking it, it's like the body is really, thanking you for it. But with Ninika, I first have to explain the 10 people. Now, the founder of the Earth Center, Prophet Nebnaba Lamusa Morodenibig, his mother's side of the family was from a culture called Tem, T-E-M.
Yeah.
And the 10 people are very well known in West Africa for their healing capabilities among, different peoples in the area. So it's said that with Ninika, you're not going to find a Tem healer without Ninika in his bag.
I see.
So that's how vital it is, and how much a part of the healing domain it is in that culture. So the Earth Center does offer, or we do, provide Ninika, and what it is, it's a blood cleanser, primarily. So it goes in, and over time, through the things that we eat or the things that we drink, there's a lot of sugars or salts or other toxins that'll end up in the bloodstream. And so it's very beneficial for the person to clean those out on a regular basis.
Okay.
And that's exactly what Ninika does.
Yeah.
And so, you take it, and once it reaches your bloodstream in the body, what it does is it basically absorbs those toxins. And then when you go to the bathroom, it leaves the body like that.
And I understand that a complementary herb that goes hand in hand with Ninika is that herb that cleans the liver and the kidneys, by the name of Suli.
Yes, absolutely. Suli is another herb that goes hand in hand with Ninika. And I say hand in hand because you can clean the blood, and that's very good. But if you don't clean the organs that clean the blood, meaning if you don't clean the liver and the kidneys, then the blood can just go back to getting dirty again very quickly. And so it's very good to use these, both Ninica and Sule, hand in hand, or to use them consecutively.
Yes.
Are there other products, say, for cleaning of the digestive system that's is available to us, like for the Ancaster range?
Yes, absolutely. There is one for the digestive system. This one in particular, we don't have a name for it. There are many herbs that we don't have names for. There are some that we do. But this particular one, let me see, you take it, like most of the medicines that we have, you just take a small amount in a cup of hot water and drink it, and then it stimulates the digestive system. So it cleans out like meat that has kind of accumulated in the intestines over time, or food that has been in the intestines over time. Sometimes people take it just because, sometimes you'll eat, and then after you eat something really full or really heavy, you feel like, oh man, I need to clean, or I need to get whatever it is out of my stomach. Even at those times, it's very beneficial.
And the products really, how regular can we use them? Is it something that we use on a weekly or a daily basis? Is it harmful in any way, like if it was to be taken that way? And have they got to be prescribed through consultation, or can they just be taken randomly if you choose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a wide variety of medicines that we have. If I'm going to start with the Ninica and the Sule, those are actually very, very potent. And unless you have a more serious issue with the blood or the liver or the kidneys, really just for maintenance, Ninica and Sule are so potent that you only need to take them about 2 times a year. And for the digestive herb I was just talking about, again, if you don't have any, serious issues, you might take that, a couple of times a year. That's not a problem. But there are some medicines that if you come in and you have a consultation and you get a diet plan, you get a plan with your healer, then you might take that medicine every day for about 2 weeks or so. And you might be taking medicines for 3-4 weeks. It really kind of depends. So we have a wide variety of anything that is taken from a couple of times a year to something that is taken for about 2 weeks.
And here in the West here, we have a lot of our women that are suffering with fibroids, and consequently, like their medical system basically is taking out their womb and that kind of stuff there really, and there seems to be a problem with the women in the West, especially like the black women, and really most of them are suffering with fibroids problem. Is there any kind of herbs and things like that that they could take instead of what the Western medical system is offering?
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting that you bring that up. I was just speaking with somebody yesterday about fibroids, and how he knows somebody that recently had a fibroid taken out that grew up to 22 pounds, which is humongous. And that's one woman, but it is an epidemic that is affecting so many people. So that particular fibroid was taken out through surgery. But there are remedies that we have where it cleanses the uterus, and it cleanses the reproductive system of the fibroids through drinking a tea.
Okay, that's good. And again, that's a natural herb that could be taken instead of what's been offered to our women, and really, because as I said, it is a major problem here really that I see. So many of our women, and they say it's more predominant in the black community, and like the prostrate problem as well for men. Is there anything for that as well also?
Yes, absolutely. For prostrate and both for fibroids. I mean, the thing is with the natural medicines, it's like the earth has everything. The earth provides everything. And we at the Earth Center and through Ancosta, we're just fortunate enough to be networking with traditions and with healers who have been preserving this knowledge of plants and this knowledge of the earth for so many generations. But it's there, like there's access to it. I know there are many people who have issues, all sorts of different issues, different health issues, whether it be heart issues or liver issues, digestive, fibroids. But Ancosta does have access to those things.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm interested. Like earlier on you said like a lot of the herbs don't have names. So when you're giving it to someone, obviously more time people want to know what they've been given. Do you think that there's a bit of resistance from people when they're taking something that they don't actually know?
Yes, there's going to be situations like that. And the thing is, when we are working together with the healers and we're going and we're receiving medicines from them or purchasing from them, we go there with the mind that, okay, we need a medicine that's going to deal with, for example, fibroids. It's going to deal with fibroids, and so they have their own recipe. So they're going to put that together and then going to give us the finished product, and they're going to say what it's for and how you take it. And aside from that, if there's anything that you need to avoid. And so this is the basic communication that'll happen. But because of that, there are some medicines where we don't know the names of the exact herbs that are in the mixture, because what we're looking for is really using that medicine as a tool to be able to heal the issue. So it's whether you know what's inside of it or not. If it's not going to hurt you and it'll take care of that issue, then at the very least we're going to work with that. So there are many that we don't have the names of all of the ingredients of for that reason, but also for the reason to protect the healers themselves, to protect their recipes and to make sure that their recipes don't get usurped, used by others.
Yeah, and is there other female kind of reproductive kind of cleansers out there that you could sort of like give us a brief overview of? Because again, as I said, the amount of junk food and like toxic waste that we're kind of experiencing over here, it's affecting both men and women really. Yeah, but we see more times the women seem to be suffering more for some reasons. So is there any what other range of herbs that's available for the female reproductive system?
Yes, absolutely. We're actually showcasing one or having a sale on one right now that is a cleanser. And this is one that it's used as an enema, actually. And you use it over a course of 3 days. And what it does is it helps to come and clean the reproductive system. Now, the body already has, in the case of women, already, once a month, their body is already cleansing the reproductive system. It's natural. But sometimes that's not enough. It doesn't get everything. And so this particular enema, this particular herb just comes to assist with that. And if you're cleansing on a regular basis, then you won't have issues that build into something larger. If you have in the reproductive system, if you have waste or toxins that build up, it can come to bring cysts. It can come to bring infertility issues. It can come to bring fibroids. But if you're doing these things on a regular basis, then in the long run, you won't have a lot to worry about. It's like someone once told me, it's like taking care of a car. If you have a car and you're making sure to keep up with the maintenance and changing the brakes every once in a while, getting the oil change, then that car is going to go a long time. But if you don't, then sooner or later, an issue is going to come and it's going to be big, and boom, it'll smack you.
Well,
see, it's the same thing with diseases in the body.
Coming back to the fundamentals, I'm currently going through initiation, and one of the things that is fundamental is the fact that I, without realizing it, I'm training to be a priest, and whereas most people associate priests and priesthood with religion, the truth is, in this case, a priest in the Kemetic sense is a healer. So I am now being taught how to heal, but how to heal without the use of modern technology. So absolutely no form of needing to know how to cut, how to make an incision is a part of this. And I've come to understand that healing means preserving life. And as a Kemetic priest, you're out there to preserve life, and you learn over time how it is possible to bring a human being into that state of balance. Now, Ancaster, and with the products that you provide, is an enormous part of being able to understand how it is that the plant world can help us humans to maintain that state of balance, whereas modern medicine deals with things like antibiotics, and my understanding is that antibiotics is something that's against life. So, from what it is that you are now instrumental in marketing, could you just say a little bit more about the true benefits in terms of longevity of life that people can enjoy from the use of these products? In actual fact, the question that I'm asking is, from what you've witnessed, and albeit the people across Africa that use these, people often think of Africa as being a third world country where the average life of an individual may be around 50, 60. Could you just correct that perception and the true benefits of what these natural herbs can do?
Yes, if I say anything on that, you know, I have been told time and again that there are, I've seen people, but I've also been told by other people who have traveled to some of the areas that we on Costa travel to, that it's very common to see people over the age of 100 years old.
Wow.
And yes, I'm talking about Africa, the same Africa that has, you know, maybe the perception that the entire continent is ridden with disease or famine and drought and things like this. The thing is that on that continent, you have cultures that have lasted for, I mean, many hundreds, perhaps thousands of years. And so that can only happen if you're taking care of the body, if you have an understanding of living together in harmony with the planet, if you're living together in harmony with the earth. So, you know, the traditional medicine that is using, you know, herbs and these herbal remedies, it's not something that's new. And it's not something that you're just going to see in Africa. You see it all over the world.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that now many people are turning to modern medicine as kind of an authority in the healing domain. But modern medicine is, I mean, you know, 200, 300 years old at best. Now compare that to something that's hundreds, really thousands of years old. It's like a child trying to tell an elder to do something.
And in actual fact, along those lines, most people have the misconception that modern medicine is so advanced compared with the rural, traditional, albeit archaic teachings that you're sharing with us today. But if the truth be known, modern medicine, or these people that the people that came up with what seems like mankind's solution to certain illnesses, they actually got the solutions by witnessing things across Africa. Have you got any examples or any knowledge that you'd care to share with the listening audience on the kind of things that have come out of Africa, such that the world has benefited from, the things that modern medicine has in actual fact taken and claimed to be theirs, whereas the truth is the source of it comes from the same people who you now share this knowledge with?
Yes, absolutely. And it's like I was saying before, where we would want to protect the healers that we're working with and protect their recipes and their livelihood from usurpation from other people, because it's something that does happen. It is something that does happen. And it's meaning it's not uncommon for people outside of Africa or people from outside of a traditional culture to go into that culture and then to find something that works in the healing realm, find a remedy, and then to take it back to quote unquote the modern world and make money off of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even you know, there's an article in the Rising Firefly magazine that talks about trepidation, meaning the brain surgery, and how brain surgery is something that occurred in different parts of the world well before the you know, hospitals and these different surgical tools.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's new. It's not something that's been innovated by modern medicine, or even aspirin. Everyone's very familiar with aspirin.
Yeah.
And so the aspirin, really, if you break down that recipe, it's a mixture of different herbs, which a company took and then started to, you know, make money off of that. And that same recipe for aspirin was actually, I believe it was after World War II, where the United States went in and discovered that the Germans had this particular recipe, and then took the recipe and, you know, went on with it. They stole it. Right. Yeah. So it's a practice that's not uncommon.
In actual fact, and what most people don't know is that many of the side effects come because they fail to take the complete component and the complete holistic side of what it is that people can now obtain through Ancaster in getting the complete total herb in its full sense, and by simple application receive the benefits of what Ancaster herbs and healing have got to offer. But let me just say that the information that you've been able to share with us today has been of excellent benefit, and to be quite honest, the listening audience will probably want to know more. I must admit, texts have come through that show that there are numerous questions that people wanted to ask, but unfortunately we've now run out of time during this show. So if you're willing and we can get you back, we'd very much like to have you back on the show so that you could answer a few of the questions that have been posed by the listening audience.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we give thanks and appreciate really, like, you're coming on here, and we'll make contact with you to come on the next show to come, and we just say dua for your time and patience really in giving out this important information, right, to us over here, that we can able to kind of say to heal ourselves as it is, because we have the ability to do that with the herbs that Ancaster has sourced for us. And yes, so we say give thanks here. Dua.
Yes, absolutely, no problem. Thank you for having me on the air. And before I get off the air, I just want to thank everybody, and then also remind you that we are in the middle of a sale until this Friday for Ancasta for some of the cleansing herbs that I was speaking about. So there are 4 different sets. One's for a men's cleansing set, there's a women's cleansing set, a full body cleansing set, and then a stronger or advanced set. So please reach out to Ancasta, or you can also email the herbs at ancasta.org for more information.
And that could be obtained from the website, you say?
Yes.
Okay, we'll give it well, we here in the UK really also kind of providing kind of say Ancasta herbs as well. So for those,
well, let me just say to all the listeners out there from across the world, Chicago is the base. It's a home for Ancasta products. Please Google or go on the internet. You'll find out where they're based. But you're talking to Masamsa, who was live calling from Chicago. And so please just make your inquiries. You've been given the contact details. And hopefully we'll be able to get this graduated initiate back on the show. Dua for your presence today, and thank you.
Wow.
Oh yes, no problem.
Tromagan 3 manden kele mansali indongli ye tromagan silema bonyani jigiya men yalkan alyal jantona beni faciale ali sona jabatejre tromagan sile dobrete facia kole
Straight out of Chicago. And just to let you know, that's just one of many temples that the EC has got around the world. We're a growing organisation, and Ancasta forms a very, very important part of what it is of the resources that are available. But back to the show. And this part of the show is called the Initiate Space. And we're fortunate now to have an initiate that has graduated in Splendor. And she is going to share with you her story. Away you go.
Ujjayi. Greetings, everyone. My name is Shadia, and I'll just give you a small insight into my journey as an initiate. So, the beginnings of my journey prior to initiation, I remember my interest and curiosity being ignited about Kemetic knowledge, and as a journey as a small child to the British Museum. I became very interested in the pharaohs and Egypt and that type of Kemetic knowledge from that day. But one thing that also I was left with was the barbarism behind that, because the mummies are dead bodies. These dead bodies are all on display in the British Museum. And even as a young child, I was always left with, why are people so fascinated over these dead bodies and this barbarism? Journeying through life, brought up within Catholicism, sitting in church as a young child, and sometimes feeling like, why is this priest at the front of the church just babbling on about information that I have no idea about, and just becoming more and more curious each year that passed about the true meaning of life, you know, and just more and more confusion building up within myself. And there was just this yearning within that I was always curious to know more, and not necessarily about what the priest had to say on a Sunday morning when I had to get up early Sunday morning, me and my 3 siblings going down to church because it was the thing to do, because my parents had done it and because my parents' parents had done it, etc., etc. As I grew older and had a family of my own, my eldest 2 children, I made the decision to follow in my parents' footsteps, had them baptized also. They did their first Holy Communion. But still, I felt like I was taking part in something that I didn't have a true meaning of. I didn't have full facts. I just felt like there's so many versions of the Bible, so many different stories and methods and about the true beginnings of life. I just needed facts, and I was just always unable to have those facts answered. My questions continued. I then embarked on a life that I called at that time spirituality, jumping from a non-belief in any God whatsoever, seeing myself as a God at times, depending on who I was talking to. I was meditating, saying I was spiritual, but not really still having a true understanding of what that meant. Going through life, I felt also at times as not having a true grounding, no anchor at times, meditating and feeling quite floaty and ungrounded, but thinking maybe that's the way life's supposed to be. Felt like fun. Focus on one thing to another, from different methods of yoga, different forms of breathing, and the list goes on. But one thing that always remained consistent in my life was the importance of family and my interest in Africa and in Egypt. When my last child was born, I decided not to baptize him, not to introduce him to this journey of Catholicism. And I felt that it would be better for him to find his own way through life and allow him to ask his own questions as he grew up. And as I found more facts around Kemetic knowledge, I decided to share them with him. And although it may sound as if I'm like being against Catholicism or against other religions, etc., I'm not here for me to convert anybody. I'm just here to share my journey, and the intention is not to be bashing anybody, because I respect others and for their beliefs, and if that belief system works for you, then that's great. So my journey continued, and I felt like the confusion set in even bigger, until one day I decided to believe in nothing. Those that were around me chose to continue to call me spiritual, and I would just agree. Or, you know, I started having different beliefs, different interests, and all sorts, but I decided not to share those at that time. Late in the year of 2016, my search, I believe, got ignited by this knowledge that I found out from a family member who invited me to the first generation of the graduation ceremony at the Earth Centre School UK. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to attend. But due to unforeseen circumstances, e.g. family trip to the zoo, I couldn't attend. But that family member did bring me back lots of information about the Earth Centre. And what I decided to do was I did attend orientation, and I did embark on my journey with the Earth Centre. Although that was after a 2-week journey to the island of St. Lucia, because I found out at enrollment that the course was starting the following week, so I couldn't attend for another 2 weeks. And I've used the word course at that point intentionally because this is what my ancestors led me to believe, that it was a course. Because at that time in my life, if I'd known it was initiation, I don't believe that I would have embarked on this journey. It would have felt maybe too big a journey. But as a course, it felt a lot more containable, a lot more manageable. And it wasn't until, I believe, the final semester of my journey that I realized that it was actually an initiation. Not that it didn't feel like one along the way. So, my journey of initiation was very insightful time. And I am very grateful to have received the sacred knowledge of thousands of years old. And as we began with the proverb, I'd just like to repeat the proverb that we began the show with. A knowledge is not a knowledge if you don't apply it to your life. That's why knowledge is what transforms people. And that's gifted by Master Neb Naba Lamusa Morandinabeg. So I'd just like to finish with a kind of poem, stroke, synopsis, strokes, short story. So, my name, my name, my name. Hatneb Mau is my generation name. Described in the English language as heart of one who possesses good sight. This meaning of my generation name is just the beginning, if you would allow me to explain. For I have to live up to the meaning of my name and each foresight of my life that it brings to me. This is a gift and a challenge all in one, best described as things that will make me stronger. And as said at the Earth Centre School, life is an uphill journey. My name, my name, my name. Shadia is my first name, gifted to me by the earth, the divinities, my ancestors, the meaning, one who penetrates the mysteries of ancestral heritage. Well, who was it that stated the life of an initiate was easy? No one within the Earth Centre. For if life was all easy, how would one progress? Each week, each class of knowledge shared throughout the initiation process nurtured me, inspired me, brought me to a deeper understanding of how precious and fragile, but at the same time how strong and empowering this path of spirituality can be. If I had to pick one thing that this journey of initiation has gifted me with, that would be the importance of family. My blood family, my spiritual family, and the ancestors. Think about this. If it were not for your parents, and your parents' parents, and your parents' parents, etc., 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 how would you have been given the gift of this life that you have now? Initiation is for those who would like to take back the responsibility of their destiny, which is the path that I am journeying on. With the support of the ancestors, my blood family and my spiritual family, Master Neb Naba Lamusa Morandinabeg, the divine world, and all those who walk on this path, dwell. And may the message to humanity continue to be shared and equally be received and continue to change lives. Natadwa.
Again, this is Kasatia Karma. I'm going to do another reading, this time from the Initiatic Tales of Hejpatar. This story is from the Gates of Gates, Death for an Empty Bag. The priest of the Temple of Elephantine has seen a lot of things, and every time he thinks he has seen enough, he finds himself intrigued by new scenes. Time has flowed like a river, and like every river, one never knows what is hiding in the waters. In his preceding transcendental journeys, first he has seen a whole village looted and its inhabitants massacred for gold. He then decided to follow the destiny of the chief of the looters, wondering what will happen to a man that has just killed hundreds of people for gold. He that kept himself all his life from committing the most common sins like impatience and anger, just saw somebody take away the lives of hundreds of people and then get on his horse with 4 bags of gold that he stole to continue his journey as if what he did was nothing. While the priest in the sky was following the chief of looters on his horse, he felt the urge to come down like a bird and fly towards the face of this man many times, so that he could shout in his face before flying back to the sky, "Do you know that the gods are watching you?" But that would be to intervene in the course of this man's destiny. The priest followed the destiny of the thief with one simple goal: finding out what happens to people that are so cruel. He followed him to the river, where he saw him drink fresh water, eat unripe fruit, and fall asleep for one instant. He has seen the terrible killer resemble all of us in his form, manners, and impatience. He has seen the bag of gold fall from the horse while the thief was climbing the bank of the river. He has seen a group of monkeys come down and open the bag and throw half of the gold into the river. And now he has just seen a woman that was coming to fetch water find a half bag of gold that she poured into her pot, throwing away the empty bag. He, the priest that wanted to know the destiny of the killer, found himself now facing many doors, all of them opened on many aspects of the becoming of the world. The massacred village continues its destiny. The looters and killers, the sword, horses, gold, river, monkeys, the woman, the empty bag, all of them continue their becoming that is resonated in the destiny of the universe. The priest, from his position in the sky, found himself confronted with a problem of choices. He knows that he has not done with the thief and his destiny. He knows also that the woman who came to fetch water and returned with a pot of gold will be an interesting case of destiny to watch. He was deep in his contemplation when his attention was attracted by what resembled a man walking. He looked and saw a farmer with a hoe on his back walking towards his farm. The peasant was walking on the path that was used by the thief. The curiosity of the priest forced him to focus on the peasant with a hope to find out what new element he would bring to what the priest sees as the gate of gates. He observed the peasant. This peasant had nothing special. He was a typical image of the poor, reduced to scratching the earth for his survival. His clothes were dirty and torn. He had an old bag inside which he kept a bit of salt and some spices and a few dried cakes for his lunch. The peasant came to cross the river and saw an empty bag on the bank. He took it, examined it. This bag had no hole. The peasant then rejoiced. He just found an empty bag that has more resistance than his old one. He took it, saying to himself that he could use it to carry his grains back home. He placed it on his shoulder and continued to walk, telling himself that by the time he reaches his farm, the bag will be dry. The priest could not stop himself from smiling with the idea that this peasant was so happy to find an empty bag. If this peasant knew that not very long ago this bag was half full of gold, if he knew that there was a woman who emptied this bag, if he knew that there were monkeys that threw half of the gold in the river, if he knew that it is a horse that made this bag fall, or if it is a killer that so many gates to open. The priest remembered his first objective, follow the destiny of the thief. He climbed higher in the air and found the thief, but he was shocked to see that the thief was retracing his steps. It appeared that at one time he realized that one bag of gold was missing, and believing that it might have fallen on his path, was simply retracing his steps and looking behind every bush at the edge of the trail. The thief was walking with his horse towards the river. He saw the peasant and greeted him very politely. The thief asked with an authoritarian voice, "Hey, did you find a bag of gold on your trail behind you?" The peasant in his modesty answered, "Me? A bag of gold? Why would I still scratch the earth to survive if I found a bag of gold?" he said with a smile. While the peasant was talking, the thief recognized the empty bag on his shoulder. He withdrew his sword and said in anger, "I don't like those who make fun of me. If you don't have my gold, why do I find the empty bag on your shoulder?" The terrified peasant did not succeed in convincing the thief that he had only found an empty bag. The thief stabbed the peasant with his sword straight through the heart, and while the peasant was falling on his knees, the thief said, "I will not let you take advantage of my hard work. I hate thieves and liars. You will not live to spend my gold." The priest observed the situation with shock. This situation is a lot more complex for the human logic. The poor peasant got killed for an empty bag. It appears that he has carried the empty bag on his shoulder just to show himself as the next victim of the thief. The priest has seen a few moments ago this peasant and the thief walking in the same direction, each one ignoring the existence of the other. Then the thief started retracing his steps, and then he came across the peasant, exchanged a few words with him, and then killed him and turned back to continue his journey. The priest decided he had seen enough and fled towards the temple where his body awaited him. He woke up and walked towards his horse. He couldn't stop thinking about his experience. There is no human logic capable of containing all these experiences. It is a world of gates. Every gate opens thousands of others. Every gate is a logic that dies on its first step because it opens to other logics, making every becoming a result of the multiple becomings and the source of multiple becomings.
Whoa, that was a interesting tale. Yeah, as they say, there's nothing such as a free meal, and as they would say, teeth never like for teeth to see teeth with long bug. And it just shows you, you know, when we go around and we think that there's something free, you know, we're getting something for free out there, then we can see sometime it can bring us our destruction, because, you know, the way life work out really is that the system kind of make us look at that way, that we tend to think that, you know, like for example, someone is selling something on the side out there on the street, and we make those purchases off them really, and all we're doing is basically like just encouraging that perpetration of dishonesty to continue. So it's like in the story there in the tale, the man thought that he was getting something for nothing, and you know, he was a victim basically, but it was to his detriment really, you know. So we have to be mindful when we find things out there, and how we kind of it's a form of dishonesty when we find something and we don't return it back to who it belongs to, you know. And this kind of story kind of give us that kind of a meaning, isn't it? Where, yeah.
Well, let me just say to all our listeners out there, for the purposes of anybody that wants to be in touch with the show, let me just say, if you've got pen and paper and you'd care to take down the details of the Earth Centre, London, is as follows: 21 Sunnyside Road, Leighton, London, E10 7BB. And the centre's open on a Sunday. I'd say arrive there for 10:30. 10:30, yeah. 10:30 on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it goes through to 4 o'clock, and you get to experience the 3 classes that take place in 2 hourly sessions, with Medu, which is learning the hieroglyphics, Katibi, which is meditation and yoga, and Sunt, which is healing. And just to give you a few more contact details, you'll find the website for the Earth Centre is at all the W's, the Earth Centre, centre spelled CENTER.org, with the email address at mtamuk, spelled MTAMUK, at theearthcentre.com, and the contact number is 020 7175 4144. And just to say that, according to the sidereal or Kemetic calendar, every 10th day we celebrate Divine Holiday. That day will be next week Tuesday, and so at the same address, the Leighton address, commencing at 7 o'clock, will be a celebration of Divine Holiday, which is a splendor to be a part of, much less to witness. And you again are invited to come along, bring a friend, and come and experience Divine Holiday, and how it is that we're able to give thanks to the Netta, or the gods, for what it is that they've brought to humanity, and elevate or raise ourselves, and in doing so raise humanity. Just a few more contact details. The Facebook, please type in the Earth Centre UK. Twitter is at Kebtah UK, spelled KEBTAH UK. Instagram, we've got Instagram, which is the ampersand @ the Earth Centre OF UK. Now, if I've forgotten anything, then please forgive me. Each week we have different content coming from all over the world. I hope today has been a worthwhile experience, and thanks to the information that has come from Masamto out of Chicago, and with Ancaster Products. Look forward to having you back on the show. For the initiates that have given their time and information freely today, and let me hand you back to our co-host.
Yeah, Ojai everyone. We would just like to read out the proverb again for the week, and it's a knowledge is not a knowledge if you do not apply it to your life. That's why knowledge is what transforms people. And this is by Nebnaga, Lumusa, Moran Denibig. And yeah, we would like to say thank everyone for tuning in to the Wisdom of the Nile show, and hopefully we look forward to kind of tuning back with you all again. And we also have we'd like to give you just a brief preview of our next week's show. Coming back over to One Love.
Right. Like I said, it's going to be an enlightening show. Part of the content is going to cover what I've come to learn about time and the sidereal calendar. We're going to learn how the Gregorian calendar, which is what we go by, has been something that has been imposed on us, almost in a dictatorial way, and how we've come to know no better over time. But in next week's show, we're going to expose you to the truth about time and why it is that what we've been following throughout centuries, and I say centuries much rather than the thousands of years, is something which now, in taking your own time and gaining your own insight, you'll get to realize the truth as to how it is that humanity and time can now be synchronized based on something called the sidereal calendar.
And before we kind of play our interlude, we'd just like to say dua for our initiate space, and it was a nice account really of her journey, and we will have more initiate space really where we can hear say the journey of from where we were lost to where now we've found a direction, and the struggles that we go through as initiate really, right? To gain our names, because that's as we said, the importance of our name is to try to link us back to our spiritual ancestors and the spirit world, So it's not an easy journey, and the reason why we're here is to try to share our journey and our knowledge of what's been given to us, really, right? So that the opportunity for people to try to find themselves, they can do so at the Herf by contacting the Herf Center at the address that's given out already. And we would like to say thank Bless FM really for giving us the opportunity and the forum really for hosting the River of the Nile show, and for all the initiate who played a part really in this tonight's show. We'd just like to say dua for everyone, and dua to all the listeners for tuning in, and we'll see you all again next week.
Iriru.
Iriru.
Iriru. Let's say thanks to our ancestors and to divine world.
Mimi walkati ko jambar wonno dum baado no bokan o ko jambar e fuladu jambar e nder fuladu ya yimbe wado yi arme ko ardi e nder fuladu amboni habane fami mudum amboni liggo liggo mudum be araade me ko yamba jeyno ngol do on wiete no o wonno sellu kuyada mbalo banna kanko jeyi noon oɗo basal ni fof koye culture meɗen tawa ni fof koye sasa meden fula du tawa hakkunde Musa Molo e sellu kuyada ko ɗo ɓe mbanno kibaru hakkunde mumen sellu kuyada ko lamɗo Musa Molo ko lamɗo Musa Molo o yimmi o hoɗoyi sellu kuyada o tawi ɓeni mbaɗa wari o diwra banta mumen ɗo wiyete dandu o wi salamu aleykum ɓeɗo mbiya mi wari ɓeɗo mbiya mi ñaami ɓeɗo mbiya mi hawi o wi salamu aleykum ha fimi daadi tati ala mon jaabi ala mon dankiɗum ha heɗi minitaji capan tati sellu kuyada juniti laari ɗum wiɗum Musa Molo bisimillah Musa Molo bisimillah o wi sukaɓe makko nangeɗi pucci kabboye umen pucci ɗi nanga kabboya o wi Musa Molo bisimillah Musa Molo to nder diwre to ina wertana toon guda o ƴendi e paɗe makko o ɓolaki paɗe ɗe o ƴendi e mumen to nder diwre to o yaaɓi diwre nde o yaaɓi ɗo wertana ɗon sellu kuyada wiyo numo noddani wambaɓe muɗum ngara ɓen nodda o wiyo wambaɓe ɓen a koɗan ɗum tawi o suyta haalde konngol o tugga Musa Molo woni woodi hare nde arani o wi sukaɓe makko ngaaroye ndi ngaari ɓaleeri muña Musa Molo ngaari nagge nangoya ɓaleeri not hirsa wiya koɗo o bisimillah ɗum waɗi firti Musa Molo ko mayde woopima wonno Musa ƴendi paɗe ɗe ɗo bertanteeri ɗo wombaɓe nodda sellu kuyada noddi wombaɓe wiyoɓe na koɗan ɗum wono ngol o basanu ɓe mbaɗi nde ɗo tuggere bala jigi bala haɓe Allah jinga bala waɓɓo nangue bala e sollaru joom kande ɓuuri o lamdi sellu kuyada hoko ɗi kolli kaali mo nani ko kolli ɗi kaali ko kono mo lamdi sellu kuyada hono ɗi kolli kaali kolli hoko kaali Musa o lamdima ɗum sellu kuyada wiyo kolli ɗi ko kaali ko maccuɗo haari fof ko pullo o ɓuri a wi ɗo ɓe goni ha saɗiyade o timmi hakkono ya o timmi o do fidim haye hakkunde o wi seldu kuyada munya jafoda kono yolami nyangu nangam anani seldu kuyada widu minani widu manani seldu kuyada widu nawru amdu e hunuka am ko heti umde hunde mi firtata ko mami wada dum no sababu sellu kuyada nyalande de atti o yayi o hodoyi Musa yi dum ko wi dum bismillah o jippini dum o nangi pucci habbi o wi suudaɓe makko gadde dumbirgal ngal ɓe gaddoy dumbirgal ngal ko o dumbi sellu kuyada mbaalo o hor koyngal ɗo o waɗi ɗum to pucci ɗi kaɓɓete to o wi ɗum ko ngolama konngol kalnoɗagol nangima hande konngol nangina joom makko sellu kuyada woni ɗon ha juuti ɓe kaldoye haalaji o wiyo sellu kuyada wi ona noddana bawɗi ɗi noddoya ɗi piyi mo wi Musa Molo hokoni bawɗi kaali Musa Molo wi ɗum bawɗi ɗi ko kaali wonko haalano firtima wonko eɓɓano firtima ko eɓɓano simbo ariyam mo waram kono firtima ɗon sellu kuyada o waynodiri Musa o hoori o tappinoyi jamdi ɓaleeri o waɗi ɗum tasawal ɗo koyngal makko ɗum addani mbaalo kunda jamdi ɓaleeri harle waɗeɗo koyngal ɗo mawɓe law ha hanina kettolno e ɗum aro yaha ha heddi yaade e nder ful heddi yaade e nder yimɓe jiya jom waɗaneɗo jaw ka e jamdi ɓaleeri tawa ndini harla ɗum woni 60 fula ɗum
Tromagan 3 mandin kele mansali indongli ye tromagan sillema onyani jigiya men yalka al jantona beni faciale ali sona jabatejre tromagan sile dobrete facia kole